and ask America to exercise its leverage and tell Israel there is no blank check.
There's no equation, no proportionality between the state of Israel and the gang of hooligans, thugs that are the Hamas.
As CARE Executive Director Nahad Awad and Israeli Ambassador to the UN Gabriel Shali traded quips, bombs continued to fall in Gaza for the 7th straight day. When looking at the current violence, it's important to try to understand the history of the conflict and where both sides are coming from in their offensives. In September 2005, Israel officially pulled out of Gaza, giving control over to the Palestinians. While Gazans saw this as a victory, Israel saw it as a test. The Israeli army commander warned that if the Palestinians couldn't maintain law and order in the area and fight terrorism, Israel would be forced to return. 4 months later, Hamas was democratically elected to rule Gaza. The majority of world leaders were not pleased with this decision.
If your platform is the destruction of Israel, it means you're not a partner in peace, and we're interested in peace.
Violence continued to escalate on both sides in the first half of 2006, with Israeli tanks stationed at the border as militants armed with Qassam rockets in Gaza fired them towards Israel, in many cases striking towns.
You don't negotiate with a gang of criminals and terrorists. It's undone, because this will encourage them to continue this way.
As Israeli officials grew even more frustrated, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas saw the divide between Hamas and himself growing even larger in 2007.
السلطة الوطنية الفلسطينية بسبب الحرب الإجرامية في قطاع غزة والاستيلاء على مقار أجهزة السلطة الوطنية الفلسطينية والانقلاب العسكري.
While President Abbas was forced to take drastic action, the Arab League minister Amir Moussa also stepped up, condemning the violent militants who had begun to take over the Gaza Strip.
The Arab League cannot accept and cannot deal with a situation that, like the one that we have seen in Gaza, and we consider that a red line.
In late November 2007, America hosted the Annapolis Conference. Arab nations, the Palestinians, Israel, and other world leaders came together to try to make progress on the peace talks and set a goal to have a negotiated peace by the end of 2008.
The focus here has been on the obligations, not only of the parties, but of the international community to achieve our shared goal of 2 democratic states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace and security.
In January 2008, Gazans broke down the fence separating Gaza and Egypt, and tens of thousands of Palestinians poured over the border. After the fence was rebuilt, tunnels were made to get supplies from Egypt to bypass the Israeli blockade. On December 19, 2008, the 6-month truce between Israel and Hamas ended. Most citizens believed there would not be another peace, and they were right. More Qassams were fired into Israel, and people were forced to take cover as the rockets hit the ground. On December 27th, Israel began their airstrike on security compounds in Gaza, killing 145 on the first day. The World Food Program scrambled to get supplies into the area as the Pope condemned the violence that was going on in the region. The Arab League met the following day, and they were deeply concerned about the fate of the Palestinians who still remained in Gaza.
نحن في انتظار عبور الجرحى الفلسطينيين لا يسمح لهم بالعبور.
On the 3rd day of attacks, more compounds were hit in Gaza.
Last night, in the middle of the city of Ashdod, a 39-year-old mother of 4 was murdered by an incoming Hamas rocket.
Israeli government spokesman Mark Regev went on to explain that due to the death, Israeli schools were being closed and thousands of children would not be able to attend. Protests raged around the world against Israel, as this one shows in Paris, but there are many other people who are upset. The Egyptian president finally commented on the situation.
إن اعتداءاتها مرفوضة ومدانة ولا بد أن تتوقف على الفور.
As the violence rages on, both sides continue to point fingers, including the United States, who blame Gaza for the violence.
Hamas has once again shown its true colors as a terrorist organization that refuses to even recognize Israel's right to exist.
It is still uncertain whether Israel will launch a ground offensive, but we will have to wait and see what happens with the coming days.